Yes, students, welcome to the session. And in this session, we are going to discuss about the process and the different pointers that help us to make professional presentations. The chapter includes 9 learning objectives, which tells us the different considerations that goes in making a very effective presentation. It tells us about the process of presentation, including from the phases like planning, organizing, selecting, editing, and then applying the professional technicalities in order to make the presentation effective. Now, let us see the learning objectives one by one. The first objective tells that considering the audience, method of delivery, and the time and the place, which tells the venue, have a lot of things to make the presentation effective. The second learning objectives helps us to plan the presentation by practicing on the time and the pace at which the presentation can be delivered by using the visual media. The third learning objectives help us to learn how to organize the presentation by including important parts of the presentation such as agenda, introduction, and then at the end of the presentation summarizing the important points by using the visual aids. The fourth learning objective tells that why is it important to select and design the text as well as a graphic based visual aids and including other presentation media such as audio and video inside the presentation. The fifth learning objectives talks about the editing phase of the presentation, which can be done by adjusting the delivery techniques, including the outlines or note cards, style and pace, length, movement, tone, and handling of visual aids. So, at the editing phase of the presentation, we can learn some new things in order to make the presentation more understandable by the audience. We may use note cards or outlines or a style or page or change the way how we are talking or presenting the presentation, working on the pace of the presentation by not talking in a speed which is too fast or too slow. The length can be decided. For example, if you have many things to discuss in the presentation, then probably you might consider including the 5 minutes breaks after, after every 30 minutes or 2 minutes or 3 minutes break after 20 minutes, so that the audience doesn't get bored out of listening to you for a long time. Walking when you are trying to explain, going to the desk of the people where they are sitting can also be considered in order to make the presentation more effective. The tone, how you are, how you are delivering it. Are you in a very serious topic that doesn't, that needs some additional help by the presenter to in order to present the presentation in the understandable way, then the tone can also be adjusted. All and also including the visual aids will be very helpful. Okay, so let us see how are they all done by discussing the different upcoming slides. Now let us move to the next slide. Technical professionals must learn the skill of presenting. Why? Because it is always required from a presenter to be more knowledgeable, and the way how he delivers should be understandable by the users. So, like how the technical report writing is important, the technical presentation skills are also very important. The ability to explain complex information to various listening audience needs that the presenter should have clear understanding of what he is talking about, and also he must be good at the dynamics of speaking in front of group of people. Now, what are the dynamics of speaking? The way how you are being perceived by the audience. For example, there are two types of presenters. One is confident. When they talk, we understand that they know everything and they are going to deliver it in a way that I can understand or that the audience can understand. Then such type of speaking is called as confident speaking. The other way around is being nervous. And sometimes it happens that if we go to present a presentation, or if we go to present a topic, we are not prepared for it. Okay, we don't know how to talk, we don't know how to pronounce the words, or if somebody asks us a question, we are not able to answer it. So this is kind of nervousness. Okay, so we get nervous because we are not prepared. So the best thing is we become confident by doing much practice, delivering it before time, making sure that you are presenting the information in the piece of time given to you, and not taking extra time out of it. Body language, like are you making the eye contact with the audience? Are you looking at their faces, or are you looking just at the wall, or in the in the roof, and then you are delivering it, without any visual interaction, or interaction from the audience? The third dynamic is like audience engagement. You ask them some questions, take the answers, acknowledge their answers are correct or not, ask them to write. And maybe we may have some activities, like we divide the group, a bigger group, into smaller groups, and make a small competition by using Kahoot or something, some tools like this. So engaging the audience. The fourth one, content structure and the delivery, how you are structuring the content that you want to deliver. Adaptability. For example, if you are in the middle of a very important presentation and suddenly there is a power disruption, or your battery is going down. So by the time all these things are taken care by the technical team, you should keep the audience engaged in your talk, so you're able to adapt, by adapt over the unseen or unexpected technical problems that can come. And you still do not get that affected on your presentation. The sixth one is persuasion and impact, wherein you tell the user to take an action of things when you have finished, or when you have talked about certain things in the presentation. And the feedback loop is always helping you to improve as a presenter. After you present a topic, you might tell the audience to rate, and to tell what are the three important things they like. For example, what are the three important things they feel can be improved. And once you take this feedback, you certainly work on it when you are going for the next time. So it's like it's helping you to overcome the problems, or the shortcomings of your presentation, and overcome on it over the time. The oral communication is much more like written communication. You need to plan, like how you're planning the written communication. You need to prepare on the presentation how you prepare your written communication in order to meet the needs of audiences. So if you go for a presentation without preparing for it, like how much time, apart from the technical aspects, the presenter also needs to take care about the dynamics of the presentation. Otherwise he will feel himself as nervous, and he would not be able to present the topic. That's why, like how the written communications need planning, editing, preparing, the oral communications also needs that. And the last one is understanding that in the written communication the audience is just reading. However, if you have a oral presentation, your audience is going to be the live audience. They are sitting in front of you, they might have some questions. You may get their understanding, or if you may get an idea about if they are understanding or not by looking at their expressions. So they are much like a live audience. And hence, playing with the tone of voice, physical gestures, and even the appearance of the presenter will have lot of effect on the audience understanding. So these are the things that has to be taken care while we are trying to make a professional presentation. Now let us see what are the different steps involved in planning and researching. As we said, the audience and the purpose of presentation is very important. The first thing what we do as a presenter is to check the material, and we make sure that the material is current onto the topic. For example, if I am going to present the benefits of using iPhone 15, okay, so I have to make sure what are the current competitors of iPhone 15 so that I can compare them with something very current on the topic and on the market. I cannot compare today's iPhone 15 with 5 years before or 10 years before Nokia, which was leading at that time. So we have to make sure that what we are talking is current to the topic. The professionals frequently have to give business, the professionals need to present frequently business meetings, seminars, conferences, trade shows, public hearing, and corporate training. So you might fall in one of them, and hence, learning how to present professionally is very, very important. Okay, now the presentations can be divided into three broad categories. One is called as explanatory presentation, where you are trying to explain the build up of the product, or give some learn where the user learns. Okay, this is called as explanatory presentation. The second type of the presentation is called as descriptive presentation, and the third one is called as persuasive presentation. So how many types of presentations do we have, students? We have three types. One is explanatory, second one is descriptive, and the third one is persuasive presentation. Now let us see all these three of them in detail. When you are trying to explain a complex technology to a group of people who doesn't know about it, then the presentation will be termed as explanatory presentation, because here is the place where you are trying to explain how the technology is working to somebody who doesn't know it, so you are explaining it. Okay, for example, a scientist might explain the effect of a new drug to a hospital staff. Okay, so for the hospital staff, this new drug is something new which they doesn't know, and hence the scientist will give an explanatory presentation to all the hospital staff or anybody interested to get the information. Now the second one is called as descriptive presentation. Here we describe the actions or the project phases that have completed so far. So it's like you are giving some information. Okay, descriptive information. For example, an engineer might describe for the client, okay, the steps taken in a project. So this is called as a descriptive presentation. Persuasive presentation, where you persuade the audience to the value of a product or a technology or an idea, and hence you may ask them to buy it or to use it. So like you are trying to persuade them. For example, a marketing manager convincing potential customers to trust and then purchase a newly developed product. So, this is an example of a persuasive presentation. Sometimes a single presentation might have all these three categories. Mostly, all the communication is persuasive. Why do we give a presentation? Because we want to sell a product and where we want the client to buy it. So, mostly, the presentation type is persuasive. Okay, but it is always the presentations will be always persuasive to some extent, but one purpose will over dominate the other. So like for example, if the need is to understand a complex technology, okay, to a group of unfamiliar people, then you might use explanatory or descriptive presentation or persuasive. So mostly The persuasive presentations are used widely. However, one of them, either descriptive or explanatory or persuasive itself, can become more dominant on the way how you are delivering, or on a topic on which you are delivering the presentation. And hence understanding the purpose of one of these three kind which is dominating will help you to prioritize your idea so that you can connect with your listeners and be and get better prepared for the audience needs and potential situations. The audience analysis also is very important in making a effective presentation. In written communication, we have already seen how the audience are analyzed by using an audience analysis grid. Now let us see what are the factors that affect the oral presentation. As we said, there are three: audience, method of delivery, and the venue. Audience are the people from inside the company or outside the company at different levels of knowledge about your material. For the method delivery, the speaker might choose read paper, read a paper, read a prepared paper, deliver a memorized speech from prepared outline or note card, and talk even without notes or preliminary plan. So, these are the four different methods that are used in planning and researching. For the venue, the presentation should be formal if given in a large or auditorium. The venue means the place and the time of giving the presentation. And hence, we say that if it is a large auditorium and we have many people, then the presentation should be formal. However, if we have less formal meetings, or no, or just the process update meetings, then we might not use the formal presentation. We will just share, the descriptive kind of presentation and get the idea. Now, let us talk about the length of the effective presentation. Effective presentation is never too short, or it can never be too lengthy, because making the presentation lengthy will undercut the effect of it. So if you're talking too much about every detail in the presentation, then the audience will get confused in order to understand or pick up the very important point out of it. Okay. And hence the presentation will be a failure then. Even if you have a very good knowledge about your subject, you must plan ahead and shape your presentation to fit the time allocated. Otherwise, some unseen problems can create a big problem for the presentation. If you want to speak for longer, take breakups. Okay, break the presentation into, for example, you can talk about 30 minutes and take 3 minutes break, or talk about 20 minutes, take a 4 minutes break or something like this. So in order to stay effective, you have to make sure that you don't speak very long. A final tip on presentation is allowing the time in advance, not only to prepare your presentation, but also practice your presentation before 3 times. Now, if you see, for example, I have taught this course earlier, okay? So I know what is there in the presentation chapter, but still I have taken the time out to prepare it, so that when I'm talking, I'm clear on the top on the things that I'm talking. Okay, so preparation is very important for the presentations, and we need to practice at least 3 times. You can participate in a room by yourself. Okay, now this is telling us like how we can mentor ourselves. So it's saying that use a mirror, stand in front of it, and then try to give the presentation. With such few, if you do such thing, then with fewer practice sessions, okay, giving the actual talk will become much easier. Now let us see what comes in the organizing phase, or what are the things that we need to organize even before presenting. While organizing, we look at the structure of the presentation, or the content, or the organizing of content of the presentation. This can be included in four parts. One is the introduction part of the presentation. The second one is the body, where we are talking about the important aspects of this presentation. Closing and question and followed by a question and answer period. In each of this section, a few specialized techniques may be used. Okay, so what are the four important parts of presentation and what are they? They are: first one introduction, second one body, third one closing, and question and answer period. We will see each of one of them as we go, as we move forward. Okay, now let us see how do we need to organize the presentation. The first word from the presenter will set the entire tone of the audience. The following tips will help you to be more confident and organized. The first one is to connect, and the second one is to set the agenda. Third one is make an eye contact. Fourth one is watch for pitfalls. Okay, now let us see these four.